Are we live? Fuck it,
Yep,
we'll do it live.
we'll do it live. Yeah, we are indeed live. Welcome back for part two with Chris here. We're gonna get into some really some more fun topics. Round one, background. Round two, future. Right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to go and get into a few of the ideas, and then maybe get to the story, the rest of the fucking story that,
Sure.
is really long and
But
arduous.
there's a lot of details there, so no worries for being detailed about it.
One thing I did want to mention though, like right away off the bat here, is like uh, anyone that could help out with like lawsuits or something, because I have had many injustices, which a lot of these things could be actionable, and I'll be willing to share, a hefty sum with you for helping me find a lawyer, or
So,
if you're a lawyer yourself, want to take the case or something.
sure.
But I had a lot of bad, fucked up shit. I'm not going to get into the story right now because it's just like it puts me in a dark place. I want to get into some ideas and everything, and just things that I could do alone, because I see all these people. They're like, oh, well, Biden could do this, or Obama could do that, or Trump could do this, and I really didn't do any reviewing or anything before the show. But I wrote some shit down like a month ago, and so let me kind of scroll it here.
You have to apologize. I'm changing glasses. I can't do it.
You're okay. You're okay.
What I should do is my
Parts like
classic.
these will be clipped. What was that,
I said I should do
TK?
my classic bit where I take off my glasses and there's just another pair behind them. Classic. Yeah. All right. All right. Go
Well,
go
you
go
could
right
get
ahead.
it. You could maybe do a tattoo, so
Oh,
it's always there.
fucking Christ! I'm not quite that crazy. Maybe when I maybe when I'm
Dude, there's this homeless guy. He has like a pizza slice like on his forehead and shit, like a tattoo. Like,
Jesus. I
yeah,
yeah.
I've
That's
seen him around.
there used to be a homeless guy by uh, in the town next to my where my folks lived that I would have to go drive through all the time, and he rode a like trike, like a bicycle, pedal power, and had different dicks tattooed all over him. And
well,
I just every time I would get stopped at like a red light and he'd be there or whatever, I'd just be staring and like, how many dicks can you count? It was pretty wild, pretty wild.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder how that started, man. Because was it a? Oh, let me get. So you don't get the COVID,
Yep,
okay?
yep. Sorry, I'm
My
going.
bad.
I'm vaccinated. I can go maskless.
Like, did that start off like in jail or something? And he's like, man, I could you guys give me a good tattoo? And they're like, yeah, we'll give you a good tattoo. And they're like tatting him and everything. And they're like, no, you can't look at it until it's done.
Yeah, and
And then
it's
he
and
looks at
it's
it, it's a fucking penis.
yep. And then he's
And
like,
then he just rolls with it
yeah,
like I did with my bumper stickers. He's like, fuck it, I might as well get more,
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. He's like, you know what? I like it. I'm gonna get more. Can you do another one? They're like, what? Really?
Oh, that reminds me, like, actually, when I was in jail during the first part of the horror story, when I was in Cook County, there was this fucking, like, Nazi in there, and the jail is mostly black, right? And he's asking, like, he has swastika tattoos, and he's asking the fellow black inmates for a tattoo. And how do you think that turned out?
Probably not real well.
Yeah. No, yeah, they did something. It could have very well been a penis. I forget what it was. It was so long ago.
He's lucky they didn't just give him a fresh scar. 'Cause-
Oh well, dude, like I think he got into a fight because someone stole all of his shit, stole all his commissary. But
bro,
anyway,
I can't imagine being locked up for any amount of time. I've been arrested before, and I've been taken to the freaking county jail. They put me in Gen Pop. I swear to God, just long enough to go back and be told to come back and get me, and they fucking released me on no bail. Yeah, I was like, you could have done this like fucking 14 hours ago when you first fucking, you could have just wrote me a ticket or a court date.
Well,
But
like all the times I've been to jail, like the legit stuff I did, like being caught past curfew was an off one that I often got busted for, like smoking and being past curfew, and the police would take me, call my parents up and have them pick me up. I never really spent more than a day in jail up until all this, hey, I want to run for president of the United States. And then suddenly I'm going to jail and I'm in there for like a full month. Like no questions asked, no nothing. Someone just says I did something and then bam, I'm in jail. And it's like, what? So
it's
for a
crazy.
really long time. And then, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous one, but whatever if I repeat myself. But they put me on antipsychotics right away. Like they arrested me. I ended up in Cook County like 10 hours later, and like they started me on antipsychotics. Like no diagnosis, no nothing. Just feed him something to make him drool and not be able to think. Is essentially like the shit that I was going through.
Oh,
Um, So I believe actually my ideas are in that notepad I can't find right now.
of
Um,
course.
yeah, like I scan that shit and I'm like, man, it's kind of like reasons for people to vote for me, which I don't like. I'm not really getting into right now. It's not a good time. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like I came up with the whole running for president thing during Obama's time, and so Congress wasn't working with him. So my mindset is, what could I do on my own to help, Americans? Because I see a lot of good suggestions out there. Pardoning people is one of them. Like we need a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that don't deserve to be, in jail or prison, and I could pardon people, and like I would need a team to do that because there's just no way that I could go through myself, So just like an astronaut has a team of people behind them, the president will have a team of people behind them as well to help, determine who's worthy of a pardon and who's not. Namely drug dealers, right? There's a lot of drug dealers now. If you're going around roofing people and raping people, your ass is going to stay in jail or prison. But if you're just like dealing shit or whatever, I don't care. Like, and I'm not like I don't even do dope or anything like that. But I just feel like I have a friend. She's hopelessly addicted to dope. I have a friend. She ends up in jail all the time, and she has a court date at the end of this month, and she's mentally handicapped, and they just keep throwing her in jail, and it's like she needs help. She doesn't need trauma, and I feel that's what we do a lot in America is trauma. But I'm also like I'm a Plan B kind of guy too. So like I want Congress to help out these people that I want to pardon, and we know where Congress is working, with presidents. They don't want to do it. Now I could apply pressure, and I will. Like if I had a large following, I would not mislead them. Like Trump had all this power, but he didn't know what to do with it because he was just like a fucking child, and he like sent people over to the fucking Capitol on January 6th. It didn't even know what to be. It didn't even know what it wanted to be on January 6th. Like I guess it was a lame insurrection, and there's a lot of people that are on the far left that might disagree with me on that, but I think it was an insurrection. It was kind of confused though. It
It was
didn't
a
really know what the fuck it wanted to be.
Yeah, and it was a pretty pathetic. I don't- it As far as I'm concerned, it was only successful in like evacuating the fucking place, and pissing a lot of people off. They didn't go in there with the serious intent of like taking over the government so much as like disrupting it. I think.
Yeah, yeah, disrupting the proceedings
Yeah.
because the whole thing was about Trump. It was about himself. He's like, "Oh, they're trying to steal it from me. You got to do something, guys." And then he never went on to mention any of the people that like died. That woman that got trampled. that was wearing the "Don't Tread on Me" shirt, ironically. And then there was that chick that tried climbing through that window.
Yeah, and
You
get
know, she caught that bullet. You know, and like Trump didn't even have the courtesy to like say their names. You know, he just like, yeah, whatever. You know, like they died for me. I'm still not president, so whatever. You know, like it was really pathetic. Actually, I wouldn't mislead the people like that. I would be like, and I disagree with TYT completely on like that. That's one of the disagreements I kind of recall, because sometimes when I disagree with someone, I don't really, I forget why, because anyway, my brain just doesn't store that information, I guess.
that's fine.
Um, and
I've trust
I
me,
lost my train of thought.
I have my own opinions that I can't remember how the fuck I came to, like about people, but
Yeah.
I still know that I came to them for good reason. You
It's
know,
like it's like, man, Bill O'Reilly. Why don't I like him? God, there's something about him. Like, I mean, I actually like know why Bill O'Reilly sucks, but
yeah.
like I'm just putting that out there.
Sure, sure. I can remember, like, I'll see someone I used to work with, and I'll instantly remember whether they were someone I liked working with or someone I thought was an asshole, and I might not remember the instance which made me not friggin' like them, but I remember that I don't like them. I remember that much, or I remember that I disagree on a point, or that whatever it is. We don't all have to agree on everything, but you know, I mean, it's healthy to disagree, just as long as you're not being like a contrarian, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I hate the constant contrarian, but I also hate the like sycophant that like just like mindlessly agrees with everything that I say. Like I need to have like a nice balance of both. Even like that's one character flaw. I actually have very few friends. I'm very critical of people though. Like, and people tend to not like that. Is why. Now that's sucks in my personal life. All right, and I know there's people that think like me. There's like people like you on the internet, but unfortunately, you live in Florida and I'm in Colorado, and we're not like hanging out at like some diner or something every now and then chilling.
Sure.
We're on opposite sides of the country. There's I'm sure Dark Matter and I will get along too, and Pale Blue Mama and all of them. Um, the only reason why I'm kind of ignoring Pale Blue Mama because I was just asking, would you agree to keep this stuff private if I give you this private link when we did our first interview and we did the private section, and she didn't respond to that, and then she followed me prior to that, and then she unfollowed me, and it's like, well, okay, I mean, I used to buy copies of Carl Sagan's Demon Haunted World and hand them out like I was some Christian handing out Bibles. Like I love Carl Sagan. Wouldn't you want that in a president, bitch? Sorry.
It's all good.
So,
No, Carl Sagan would have.
my bad. I got a poopy mouth.
No,
I'm like Trump in that sense.
you're good. I do the same thing. But yeah, Carl Sagan as president. That's actually fun to think about.
Yeah. Well, no, like someone that, like, how public leaders are always like, they get asked, what's your favorite book? And they're like, the Bible. It's like, what? Like, really? Like, there's no other book. There's no other book in the world. It's just the Bible. That's just their bullshit default, is what it seems.
Sure, it gets the most, of the voters. Most voters, their favorite book is the fucking Bible, unfortunately, and so they're trying to appeal to those voters. And
They're trying to trick them into voting for them. Like,
yeah,
they're like, I'm totally not going to do any Christian policies or, act like Jesus as a public servant in any way, but the Bible, vote for me, Bible, right, right, but also the liberals or the shit libs do that too. They're like, look, we're on board with the LGBTQ rights, come on board, and then people get on board, and then the Democrats do the same shit that the Republicans do. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less. That those little differences to me are negligible. I'm like, you're all the fucking same. Y'all fucking suck.
the Democrats definitely suck. The
Yeah.
Democrats are so shitty and weak that they make the Republicans like a viable option. If the Democrats were strong, the Republican Party would totally have to change up
But
their
that's how they like
platform.
it. That's how they
Hmm.
like it
Yeah,
because it's like a never-ending loop.
yeah,
And if they lose, they're like, "Oh, those mean Republicans! We got to fundraise. You got to give us lots of
yeah.
money." And then when they win, they don't do much. They're like, "Well, at least the mean Republican didn't get in."
Sure, yeah,
It's like, yeah, we'll do some of the shit that you wanted to do.
yeah. It's basically paid liars versus paid losers.
Oh yeah, I know. It's pretty sad. So jumping back to like an hour ago or when I was talking about pardoning people, and I don't think Congress is going to help them succeed because we need to. I feel we need to give them money to help them succeed. Because we always set people up for failure. I got acquitted, and I didn't even get a fucking bus ticket. And Cook County was nice enough to give me a bus ticket. So, or maybe they ended that. By now, I don't know. But the conditions in jails and prisons is really horrible. But that I guess I could get into that another time. But I recognize it. There's like China probably has better jails than America does, and just let that sink in.
Um, I guess depends on which one. I know that like if you're saying like North Korea, I'm gonna give it to
Not
North
North Korea.
Korea.
No, no, no. But
Like,
China,
yeah.
like China probably has more humanity inside their justice system that there is in America.
I'm not really familiar with the Chinese, you know,
Neither
judicial
am I.
system.
That's why
So
I'm just kind of guessing. I'm just like shooting in the dark. If I wouldn't be surprised if that information came to light. But they definitely jail less people than we do, and they have 3 times as many people. Just like you could kind of see how shitty of a job we're doing with COVID because we're less than 5% of the world's population. We're like 4.1 or 4.4% or something like that. And we have like 20% of the world's deaths. Is that, I
yeah,
haven't checked the numbers lately, but
it's it's something like that. We were definitely out front for a long time. I don't know if anyone has taken over. The number of cases is still going up. Nobody's taking it seriously anymore. I actually just had a coworker that went to a funeral today for a person that she worked at her last job that died from COVID, and the person that gave him COVID also died. Like
oh,
pre-
Jesus Christ.
pretty,
That is such,
it's like really rare and crazy and super sad. But
yeah.
some people just don't take it seriously. You got a lot of
Oh,
people out there that are
I
more
know. Like,
interested in a buck.
I should have some job right now, but Americans are still going crazy, being asked to like wear a mask, and they're attacking store employees, and I just don't want to deal with that right now. And I hope it's going to go away, but maybe it's not.
Yeah,
Um, and maybe it's just going to have to be something that the low wage workers are always going to have to deal with. Some belligerent customer yelling at them, probably spitting on them, maybe throwing stuff at them, and sometimes attacking them. And it's like, whoa. Yeah, and people like those people vote. Those people vote, but I feel that kids should be able to vote too. There shouldn't even be an age limit. When you're just interested in the stuff, you're interested and you should be able to vote. And we all know like there ain't going to be like no 10 or 11-year-olds that are like, "Oh, let me go vote." There will be, however, the parents that kind of like train their kid to kind of you know oh, vote for Trump, vote for Trump, you got to vote for this, but they already do that nowadays anyway too. They just they get them when they're 12 and they repeat like conservatives are the bomb, no taxes, guns are great, Bible, Bible, Bible. And then they turn 18 and then they start voting Republican. So it's the same sort of trickery, but I don't see kids going around fucking attacking people. That's why, and they have a stake in this world. Okay, so I think they should be able to vote, and I actually trust the kids more with their decision than I would with adults, seeing how adults have reacted in America over COVID. Um, sorry about the side tangent.
no, it's
Anyway, I'm
fine.
trying to
It's
get.
a very important tangent and worth covering. So for sure.
Yeah. So I don't think Congress is going to help out. So what do I do? I'm a plan B kind of guy, especially when I'm driving. It's like, if this happens, what will I do? I have a plan B. I got an open spot over here. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, so and you need people kind of willing to do this stuff. And maybe there's a better idea, and I know it's an extreme idea, but I don't watch softcore porn. But I don't mind if you do, okay?
Right.
Cock. Um, so I could film a porn, take 100% of the proceeds, and fund the prisoners that way. And I guarantee you that will make a lot of money. And we could do all sorts of creative shit. Like we could fucking like get one of those like maybe get spitting image on it and get like a Nancy Pelosi mask, and then some chick could wear it, and Nancy Pelosi gets fucked by the president, and all sorts of shit. Maybe we could find a female to male chubby transgender that they could dress up like Trump, and I could grab them by the pussy, and shit like that, like without permission and everything. We could do all sorts of things. I could.
Oh, it's fucking great.
And for the people that don't are not into the porn and everything, there'll probably be a direct donate button to the pardoning cause, the people who are pardon fund. I don't know what to call it.
Sure. Dude, so what you're telling me is one of your platforms, if you were president, would be to help fund, like what prisoners' rights and stuff like that, or
Well, pardoning, funding their success, because
oh,
when they get pardoned, they're going to be broke. They don't always have family. They had their lives destroyed. They need some income, and I want Congress to help out with that. But
sure.
Congress are going to be little bitches,
So
so I got to do what I can,
drop
and that's what I
trowel,
think we need.
dude.
Well, I don't even need to be naked. Like you could get like a chin strap dildo and fucking vacuum bed me to the ground and have a chick or a few chicks sit on my face or something and have some fun. Right? Like I don't even need to be naked in some of these things. So it doesn't, it's not necessarily like I gotta be naked, all right, so we could be creative with it though. There's
That is,
lots of ideas
let me
to
tell you, that is one of the most creative fucking things I have ever heard in my fucking life. I think it's fantastic. I'm fully on board, and I want to hear more of your platform now. Let me tell you, you should open with this to everybody because
yeah.
I want to hear every fucking thing that you have to say now about this shit. I want to hear
I
all
think
your plans because if you're thinking that far outside of the box, I'm ready to hear all of it.
yeah. Well, I actually got a lot of good ideas. But I don't know if they're all good ideas. I need someone there to maybe whack me upside the head and be like, "Hey, that's kind of stupid." Um, like I was trying to contact Thunderfoot, and I've mentioned like on Twitter, so he probably doesn't even pay attention to that shit. But I enjoy Thunderfoot's videos. I've been watching him for as long as I've been watching you. And he used to do like the "Why do people laugh at creationists"
Yeah,
thing. He kind of stopped that, and he's been debunking scams. I guess he's always been debunking scams, but he's just focused more on that, and that's nice because
sure.
people got to know the bullshit behind the hyperloop and all that fucking stupid ass shit.
Or the LED roadways or whatever.
Oh, the LED roadways. Yeah, that was another stupid one. Or like the solar panel roadways with the
Yeah,
LEDs, right?
yeah.
Yeah, they're like these glass tiles that like okay, asphalt creates friction. Like I ain't no scientist, but I understand some shit,
Yeah,
and
they
having
said
glass
they
to
said they were
stop
gonna put
on
little like make them a little
divots.
bumpy or whatever to make. But I'm like, yeah, this is the the drainage alone is a nightmare. Everything about that is just a bad idea. It's a fucking a clear surface is like reflective. Like a clear glass or plastic. Like when the sun is going to be bouncing off of that, and just that in order for it to go through the stuff and hit the solar panel part, it's got to be it's going to reflect some of that fucking light to onto drivers. That alone is a bad idea. And then you take into the traction and how inefficient they are and how hard they are to see during the day and shit like that. And it's just not like it might be a half decent idea for, let's say, the sidewalks at Disney. You know what I mean? Like, because then you don't need like a super amount of traction. You could just be walking on it. They can change like the lines or whatever with just by resetting the lights or whatever, and it can generate some power. Like that's
Well,
not a terrible idea. On
well,
roads though, that's terrible.
like maybe in a different environment, like on another planet, that would be an interesting idea. But I don't know if that really is feasible on Earth. Even as a sidewalk, it just that shit is still really slippery like glass, unless you're putting like really tiny divots or something,
Like
and
like
a lot
little
of them.
nipples on all of it, but
Yeah, little nipples,
unless they
like every centimeter or
I,
something.
I, I tend to agree with you. I don't think we're there yet technologically. Solar power has come a long way. We're not quite to the point where we can just throw it around like that with roadways and just making it like we should focus more on the I guess more traditional panel and try and put that on highly lit areas. That would be way more effective. Putting it on all public buildings first of all to help
Yeah.
generate stuff like that and go from there because back in the day it
Well,
was super expensive and it didn't save you that much money. Nowadays the battery technology has gotten pretty good and you can actually get quite a good charge on a
but
battery that'll
that
last.
battery technology comes, sorry to interrupt, but
Oh,
that
that's fine.
battery technology comes at a price.
Oh, of
And it
course.
comes, like we have slave labor, I can't even talk, slave labor, mining these materials and everything for Musk's Teslas, the lithium in there, and we're invading countries for these resources. So this green tech comes as at a cost. I'm really like pro nuclear energy, because like where do you want your pollution? It's either going to be in the air or it's going to be in this radioactive substance that we could, if we're responsible enough, we can, like store for safely for a very long time. I think currently we're still leaving the nuclear waste on site, and we were supposed to be putting it in Yucca Mountain like a half a decade ago or so, but I don't know what the fuck happened to that shit, and uh, China just, and I don't know if it's propaganda and if it's bullshit. Maybe Thunderfoot is going to be like later on tonight. A video gets released, and China is debunked by Thunderfoot with their thorium nuclear reactor that they just kind of have in development. I think it's going to go online in September, but they're using molten salt or something to as the coolant for it, and if everything like were to like fail, I guess there'll be no meltdown. Is the basic design, which is good.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
hard.
nuclear is always it should make you nervous. There should be a ton of safety precautions because
Oh yeah.
it's not just like a coal plant burning up. That would be disastrous, but it doesn't have the long term environmental detrimental effects like nuclear does when nuclear goes wrong. I agree, it's highly efficient, and if done correctly and safely, then it's fine. But and in fact, it is probably the best option. It's just
Well,
when things do go wrong, it's so bad for so long. The half life on that stuff is ridiculous.
well, the half life, but there's radiation everywhere.
Sure, just
Like
not in
so.
those ridiculously high levels. I used to live overseas, and you know what Bikini Atoll is? It's
No.
where they tested the H bomb.
Oh,
Yeah, and
and that shit. Yeah, that
it's
shit is
just
still messed up.
yeah, exactly. You still can't eat the fish. Like you can't do anything in that freaking entire goddamn area. It is and that's just one bomb. I mean, imagine if it was a nuclear plant. It just goes on no matter how much you clean it up, and you can clean it to a degree, But I don't know if you've watched the HBO. I think it was HBO. It was like a 6-part mini series, Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was kind of.
it was over the
I think
top,
cop.
dramatized or whatever. But I think, I mean, the facts still remain that nuclear like waste and fallout and stuff like that have a very long half life, and I
You
mean,
should check out
go ahead.
Thunderfoot's thing on the Chernobyl. I think that was him that did it like a year ago or something like that. But there's a lot of bullshit because he just like was like working with the numbers like in the show that they said, and he's like he went to the nuclear like bomb map or something like that, and he's like, well, this is what like 10 megaton will do, like, and they in the show they were like, this is going to extend 200 miles, but in reality it like extends out like 5 miles,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, I mean the original. Are you talking about the? Because the actual like when Chernobyl was burning and whatever, the nuclear shit was like traveling by air into like other countries. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah, it was
traveled quite a
detectable in
bit.
other countries.
Sure, but I mean it's like you said, radiation is everywhere. It's the levels that are that can be super dangerous. And
But
again, I think that nuclear is probably the best option as long as it's done extremely
yeah, don't
safely.
build it like on top of don't build it on top of fault lines.
Yeah,
Maybe have a default with these older plants, like where we build a pit, because like like the Earth's core, like the reason why it's molten is because of the radioactive decay in there, and it gets all hot. Just it's like one big meltdown in the center of our Earth. So if we just direct the stuff kind of like into like a 200-foot pit, not to sound like 300 or something, how they had that huge ass pit,
yeah,
but like if everything like all the redundant systems fail, like use gravity as the last resort, and the fallout or the meltdown could melt into a pit that could be more easily contained and everything. We're going to have to watch out for ground, water contamination, but I think more people are dying with just regular pollution from factories and cars. And I think that they're really fucking with the numbers because they say that it's like 450,000 people die a year in America from cigarette smoke, but only like 70 or 100,000 people die a year from pollution.
mm.
Like what? Those numbers sound reversed, and is it too far fetched like to really think that the oil companies would go to a company, an industry that's already kind of demonized, the tobacco industry, and be like, look, could you just like, you guys got a lot of bad heat. You guys, your product causes cancer. You just say that it causes more cancer, and here's $10 million. Like and so they're taking kind of the heat off of the corporations and the industry that is really causing the deaths, but it just kind of gets pushed onto the tobacco.
It could even be further than that. They could fund a study that would look at and the factors for like a pollution related death could be very like strict, whereas the factors for a smoker's death could be very lax. Like, oh, you were a smoker and you
Yeah,
died of
therefore you
whatever,
died
therefore
of
you died
yeah.
of smoking. Whereas the pollution one, they'd be like, you know, they need all kinds of they have to meet all kinds of criteria in order to be qualify as death from pollution. I guess one is just easier to assume than the other. It's
Yeah.
easier to assume that someone would die because they smoked for a long time and then their lung, especially if they had lung cancer or something like that. But did the yeah, it's. I guess you just have to take everything you hear with like a grain of salt because
I'm
statistics are
just
thrown around like crazy. Yeah, you should be skeptical of everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm skeptical of everything, and that's like I said. Friends don't like that. Sort of. I'm
sure.
always kind of critical of everybody, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I'm lacking. It's not because I'm like some neo-Nazi or something. There's some good people out there. I noticed DP and the Geek Room and Fuck My Life and all sorts of podcasts. They always rip on these like total losers. They're pieces of shit. They're very hateful. They hate on other people and they don't have anyone in their lives. And that's kind of like ha ha ha. But it goes the other way around too. There's some
Mm,
good people out there and they just, they don't have anyone in their lives. I have a
sure.
few people in my lives and I don't want to get too into it, but I got I got three friends sort of, but they don't make me feel good. I got my mentally handicapped friend that I'm always babysitting after. She's hopelessly addicted to meth. And, I feel like sometimes I should get a squirt bottle and squirt her sometimes because she goes like crackhead on me. And I'm like, knock it off, stop playing with that. She'll like start drawing with makeup on my refrigerator. And it's like, oh, fuck, I got to clean that shit up. And, and then I have my other friend, Vian. He doesn't take showers ever. So he's like, uh, Linus or Lionel or the guy from Peanuts, the smelly
Oh
kid,
yeah, yeah.
Pen Pen,
Yep.
um,
Pigpen.
Pigpen, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I totally forgot his name.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
good.
and like he sits a few feet away from me because I always like make sure like, hey, kind of stay, like stay over there because your smell really bothers me. But even when he sits like 5 feet away from me, it's like I start getting a headache, I start getting a sore throat. You
Jesus
know,
Christ.
it's like, yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. It's like so terrible. And I offer my shower to him, and he's like that doesn't even use it, and it's just he's been struggling too to get his ID for like the past 3 years, and it's like come on, man, like what the hell, like why are you? Like, it's kind of depressing. I help
Yeah.
them out though. I do what I can to help them, and then I have another buddy, Jeff, and he is kind of he's been living in a van for a few years. His wife died a little more than a year ago, I think from COVID, but they just slapped pneumonia on that shit. She was on a respirator for like 17 days though.
Oh wow.
But and it was right in the beginning of COVID. She died April 7th last year. So, but he's like, he says some messed up stuff, like, and he is kind of like a mildly racist person, but he he had an interesting thought the other day, and I didn't want to. I do show restraint with my friends sometimes too, but he told me he had like a revelation. It was like, did like black people, they act just like white people, Chris? And I'm like, yeah, 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 of course. Like I mean, maybe our cultures are a little different. Like you grew up, with a certain style of cooking that the other, little differences like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're just, and it's because the bullshit was taught to him though. So, and I didn't want to crawl up his ass about that because that was a good reaction,
Sure.
coming from someone that was taught racism. So.
Sure. Yeah. Whenever someone has a natural like epiphany for so in a positive direction, you want to do whatever encourages that person to stick with it. And for some people, that's just like, yeah, you're right, and then that's it, and that will like stick with them for a long time. So yeah, it's weird. And by the way, everyone should be jealous that they didn't fucking grow up in a black household when it comes to fucking cooking. Because
Well,
I've had
oh
some of
yeah,
my
yeah, I
black
know,
friends
right?
I've gone over for dinner, and it is the fucking best shit you've ever fucking had.
Oh, dude, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Like there, when I was homeless, there was this street church that they came to this one park every Sunday to do like a dinner, and they had a. I mean, it was a mixed, diverse thing, but there was a like a few black people there, and they made this. This was the stuff that they're scooping out is the stuff that they fucking made.
Oh yeah.
And whatever it was, like whether it was like some roasted chicken or like whatever the hell it was always the fucking bomb. Like I am kind of jelly because well, I mean, I grew up like in an Italian household. We had pasta and everything,
Ah,
but you kind of get sick of that, and then
sure.
when you get introduced to other foods, you're like, you're like, wow, like I missed out.
My dad has always been a huge fan of like Southern cooking, and we've lived in Florida for a long time. And like, he would literally he used to go and have his taxes done by a buddy of his in Georgia, and he would literally just be like, "You want to come with me for the trip?" Because it's like a 5.5 hour drive. But when we get up there, we would go to this place called Hammerheads, and it was the fucking best barbecue you have ever heard of or like had in your life. And I was just for Hammerheads, I would go on that trip. We'd drive up there,
Nice.
go get his taxes done, go hang out and have a few beers, go to Hammerheads, like eat until we were like could not take another bite, and go friggin' sleep at a motel, and then hit the road again the next day. And if we got a later start, we'd go back to Hammerheads when they were open and get a bunch to freaking take back with us. It was
Oh,
that
nice.
place was so good. Oh, like
I wish I could afford to go out to eat. Like that's like another thing is like I like me going over to like Burger King or something is like me going out to eat. like
oh,
like money is so tight. I gotta like cook my own food.
sure,
You
but
know,
hey, man,
always.
that's actually a real skill, and it's most likely much fucking healthier than any Burger King or any of that shit. Not enough people cook for themselves. Too many people rely on restaurants for too many meals, and it is nice to like treat yourself or have something that you want. But being able to, like, I'm a chef. It's like it amazes me how much people will pay for something that I know the worth of. The place I work at, like a dozen oysters is $25. You can buy
Oh
a dozen.
wow.
Yeah, you can buy a dozen oysters at like the fish market for like $5, $6 maybe. And then all you got to do is shuck. You can probably get them pre-shucked for that price. Uh, for a small piece of sea bass where I work, it's like $44. It's ridiculous. It's super
Oh my
overpriced.
god.
A macaroni and cheese, which is literally fucking oh god, what is it? About 30 cents worth of cavatappi, uh, 25 cents worth of Velveeta cheese, and about 5 cents worth of milk, and we charge $7 for it, and it's just a small bowl.
But it's nice to just be treated to something, and that's
Sure.
one thing. Like I have 61 cents to my name for the next 10 days. But earlier this month, I took my friend Misty, the one that is a little special. I took her out to eat, and that kind of hurt because like I'm down to my last pack of cigarettes and I have no more money. But I spent like $35 and we both got a meal, and I tipped the waiter like $6 and but it hurt. It,
Sure.
it, it really hurt, and it's like, damn, I wish I had the money. And I guess I'm like a lot of Americans because I see a lot of Americans give up. So I guess I kind of gave up. Like I kept trying to get jobs and everything, and I don't know if we'll get into it tonight, but we'll probably have to wait for some other time. But when I escaped Illinois and I moved out to Colorado, I had a hard time with jobs and shitty employers. Like some dude, I found some gig on Craigslist, $40 for 6 hours of work, and the dude worked us like nine and a half hours, and I made a big stink of it. All the other people that were working with me, they're like, shut up, Chris," because they just want the money. They're kind of desperate. And I'm like, no, this is not like an extra 5 minutes. This is like an extra, like, like
Half.
2 hours,
Yeah.
2.5 hours. Like,
Half a
you
fucking
owe
day.
us like 50 or $60 and not like yeah, and it wasn't just me. It was like you owe all of us extra money. Like I was fighting for everybody and the dude obviously didn't have me back.
Yeah. I mean, like yeah, it's a terrible fucking situation to be in. Like the day labor stuff like that. I've done that. But for me, I was lucky. It was a buddy that I worked for, and he had his own landscaping, and he would just call me up out of the blue and be like, "Hey man, you want to make some money today because my help didn't show up or whatever." And over the phone I would negotiate with him. I'm like, well, how desperate are you? And I mean, this is a while back, and he'd be like, $10 an hour, desperate. And I'm like, and $10 an hour back then when minimum wage was like 5 or 5.25 or some shit like that. Well, it's pretty decent. And I was like, okay, throw in lunch and beers afterwards. He's like, deal. I'll
Nice.
see you in 15 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So that was cool, but I understand like, and that's hard work. You don't just go out and make easy money. You bust your ass, you get fucking dirty, and you want to make sure that you're fucking paid. I don't want to work a 10-hour day and get paid for 5 or 6 of it. That's
I know that's so shitty of employers to do. Now, and I know people like have won lawsuits for working an extra 5 or 10 minutes off the clock. I'm not that anal, but the deal was for $40 for 6 hours of work, and I did more. We all did a lot more than 6 hours of work, so you should just give us more. And that's where my grievance was, and it was like the employees were so desperate they didn't want to speak up, and the employer was like, "Fuck this guy that's speaking up. Everyone else is keeping their mouth shut. So I'll just you're not welcome back, and everyone else is."
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, if you're, I guess if you're, I don't know. If you're like on the run, you're like a fugitive or illegal and can't find work anywhere else or whatever. Like it's much easier to take advantage of those type of people. But
Yeah, that's
but no nobody that isn't is legit and legal should should have to put up with that kind of shit. I'd have been on your side. I'd have been like, fuck that. You might have just had a bunch of other people there that really had no choice and they needed it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they probably had kids and everything, so I
Yeah,
understand. They're like, "Look, I got to keep a roof over my head, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up." So I understand, but I'm the dude that says something and gets fucked. I don't know. And
yeah,
then this following job, just like the following job, another Craigslist job, and like there was a coworker that wanted to shoot a bunch of people, and I told my boss that, and he straight up fired us both. On top of he like refused to pay me like the $100 that he owed me for like 2 days of work or some shit. Like it was like what
that
like
see
why are you doing this?
yeah that one sounds like there could be some. I don't know. That's the
Well, what I
only good
did.
thing about working for like some corporations or whatever. I mean, some small businesses have it, but like most corporations, HR. That's the best part is human resources because at least if you're
Is
being
that the best part?
mistreated, it is because at least if you're being mistreated, there's someone you can like go to, and everything has to be on the up and up like legally. Like at a corporate, like when I go to work, the place I work is corporately owned. But it's really weird. It's corporately owned, like, but it's the restaurants can make their own like private decisions. Like with as far there's only a few things that have to be standardized. Everything else is like our choice, and it's we're actually a test kitchen for our test restaurant for some of the stuff. So we deal with stuff and before anyone else does, and we kind of set the standard for it. But when I go into work, I get paid when I'm there. I fucking if I'm there for 10 hours, I get paid for 10 hours. If I'm there for 12 hours, I get paid for 12 hours. Sometimes, like if I do extra, um, you know, kind of bonus work for them, as in, let's say a truck order shows up that it's not my responsibility to put away, but my immediate manager will be like, look, you were like 15 minutes late this morning. If you can friggin' put that shit away for me real quick, I'll just change your clock in like you were on time. And you'll get the extra, the extra bit of pay, and you won't have it won't
Yeah,
And I'm like, deal.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's deal. Well,
Yeah.
it's all about the people, man. It's all about the people that you work with. They make all the difference, and at least in a corporation, they can't like purposely rip you off without having repercussions. Craigslist jobs and stuff, people that you're working for, like just on the day, they don't have those repercussions, and they feel like they can get away with murder, and it's really unfortunate.
Well, it might have been illegal on my part, but like I would have, explained myself at least, and I'll do so now. But how I handled that situation is I just told the dude, I'm like, look, I'm going to give you one negative review today. I'm going to give you two negative reviews tomorrow. I'm going to go three negative reviews the third day, and so on until you give me my fucking money. And by the second day, I had, like, okay, it's in the mail. So,
Hey, if it works, it works, man.
you
What's
know,
illegal is withholding like earned pay from your employees. There's no like even if you don't like the job, you know what I mean? Like if I work for a company and they're like, "Oh, well, we don't think you really did a good enough job." Okay, well, you pay me for the work I've done, and then you can get rid of me. Like I live in Florida, so right to work state and what is it,
Uh,
voluntary employment or whatever the fuck.
Colorado's like that too. I think we're a right to work.
Right to
Fucking
work has a lot to do with like unions and shit like that.
anti-union.
Yeah, but the I think I want to say it's voluntary employment or something like that, or it's phrased some similarly. That's where they can just fire you for whatever reason they want. Doesn't matter. And unsatisfactory job performance is one of those. So if I work for you for let's say a week and you're not happy with me, it doesn't mean that you just don't pay me for my week. It means you pay me for my week and then you can fire me and I'll go find something else. You just don't get to stiff me. That's not how shit works. Not
Yeah, I know,
supposed to
but
work.
it's like a lot of this stuff is done on verbal, so
Sure.
it's like it's kind of hard to prove and everything. But I think I documented some stuff. It's probably lost somewhere in some folder on my retired gaming computer, my desktop. But I think I talked with the manager because there was the boss guy and then there was someone that was like a manager supervisor directing us. And so I talked with them, and I think well, I asked if it was okay if I recorded our chat. And I also asked probably about like being fired for reporting someone that wanted, to like shoot some people. And and then like why I wasn't getting paid. I don't know. I'll need to do some digging if and I still have a voicemail. I don't know what the dude said, but um I have a voicemail from the guy too. The guy that refused to pay me.
Mm.
I don't know what's on it. I know I saw the file somewhere. It was like Kevin from Hydro Steam or some shit like that because it was like a steam cleaning company. And I was just going door to door handing out flyers. So I figure like I keep on I was getting all these shitty jobs just because I was going through trauma at the time and I just wanted a mindless. I don't want to think. I don't want responsibility. I just want to show up and fucking be mindless about it. And we were just going door to door, sticking flyers in the doors, and same with the previous job too. So those two jobs, those first two jobs were just door to door. And I finally landed a third job, another one I found on Craigslist. And I was just waving a sign for a company, nice and mindless, and I could smoke a joint, on my way to work and shit,
Sure.
and smoke a joint during break and shit, and listen to music the whole time and just kind of be at peace, sorta, and earn money while I'm doing it. But then I lost that job because I got attacked and then I ended up in jail, which I don't think we're going to get into tonight. But we got on a really weird side tangent because like 5 hours ago I mentioned like Thunderfoot, and then we got into the solar roadways and one thing led to another,
Sure.
and
Sure.
now I'm here.
No, but it's always it's good to you show your kind of personal side so people kind of get a feel for that. But absolutely, please do more of your platforms.
Yeah, well, I was thinking I don't know if it's a stupid idea or not. All right, so correct me if it's stupid, but I was thinking about wireless charging lanes for our roads. This will help with not needing so much battery tech on electric vehicles. And I think it would be wise even so you could have a wireless charging lane, maybe do like a stripe blue or something like that, like hey this lane or a stripe purple or some weird, standard. And it goes on for 5, 10, 50 miles. We could do wireless electricity, and creating a magnetic field isn't that difficult. So I think we'll need some standards. Like there's standards with the outlets and light bulb socket size and all that shit. That so we'll need to have standards for like a device that maybe is on the bottom of the car that is able to pick up the magnetic field and convert it back into electricity.
Yeah. So the way I'm understanding it is that you're talking about it's basically like a wireless charger for a phone that you just kind of set on top, and it's close enough that it actually charges the phone without being connected. And the same idea being whereas the charger is the road, and instead of a phone, it's a car, and making it, uh,
Yeah.
close enough, to actually. You might even have something that on the car, if we're just shooting with this idea for a minute, something on the car that actually lowers a little bit and get like the charging whatever it needs to get closer. You're like, okay, we're hitting the charging area, and it actually lowers about like a few inches to get close enough to actually pick
Well,
up a charge.
maybe put that little device on a wheel, and it could just be a fifth wheel that drops down and actually touches the road, and
Sure.
the actual thing is in the center that picks up the magnetic field and converts it into electricity. We're going to have to get some engineers and designers. And is the idea even plausible? Is it worth it? I don't know. But also, if it is plausible, making wireless sections at intersections is a good idea too, because like while you're sitting there stopped, you could be charging up too.
Sure. I mean, I'm not sure how cost effective it would be right now. It's definitely something that will be doable in the probably pretty near future, because I mean technology is exponential. It
And
grows very quickly.
that's just a solution for like America, because Americans like driving their own fucking vehicles and everything. I do recognize we got to have better public transportation as well. In every city all across America, got to get bullet trains. I hate, like, we're rocking Amtrak typically at like 35, 40 miles an hour. Although in some, like, in the middle of nowhere deserts, it gets up to fucking like 90 miles an hour. Other countries are putting us to shame. So we just definitely need better public transportation, and maybe to solve, because we got to get off fossil fuels. We got to make some big changes, and that's another thing too. Is like, I think the problem is way worse, and I know NASA just came out with like a thing recently, like we're trapped, or Earth is trapping twice as much heat as it did 14 years ago.
Hmm.
So we really got to make some drastic changes. We got to change our way of lives if we want our kids to have lives, and so they could have kids and shit like that. Um, when we buy products and everything, and like, I got my little plastic water bottle here. Like, we just take that and we just like throw it away. And I know, like, I mean, okay, so I'm having a hard time explaining this.
It's
I
okay.
think it's just they only solved half the problem. Like, our parents and grandparents, they're like, well, we're going to make this product and we're just going to like throw it away, and that'll be the end of it. And they're not thinking of that last half, where maybe we need to have standard devices in our houses, like to break down some of these materials, and we could. I don't know if it'll be cost efficient, because they're like, okay, well, man, I'm having a hard time explaining this, cock.
It's okay.
But let me um so how about
Almost like
uh,
a household, like an inner, like a compost for your house. Is that kind of the idea?
well, like maybe like you take this plastic here, and they have like the numbers typically on it, and you could something to grind this up, and then you collect enough of it, and only of this particular plastic, and you mail it in, or something comes and picks it up, and you put it in a special container. But you also get rated. You also like because people will be using your raw materials. So maybe we make a system where, um, or I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
explaining this one,
It,
but I think the problem is way worse. And let me go to Penn and Teller bullshit really quick, because
hmm.
Penn and Teller bullshit made this point. They're like, and it was against recycling, I think. And they're like, well, you already have one garbage truck in there, and that's using all that fuel and making all that pollution. Now you're going to need a second truck in there making, all this pollution and everything to pick up the recycling. And it's like, yeah, that should have been thought of from the beginning, because they're using it like as an argument to not, like, recycle. And it's like, no, see, we use all this fuel to make the product, to ship the product, but
Yeah.
we really don't use anything to reclaim that product or to recycle it that much. We do like the equivalent of breadcrumbs uh, in America, like with our recycling,
It's
essentially, and we need to do a much better job.
I know that in my like zip code they did a like study or survey or whatever and found out that like 80 something percent of recycling trucks that come in to jump off the recycling are just
It goes in the landfill.
yeah, because they'll look and they'll be like there's too much non-recyclable shit here to sort out. So it's
Yeah,
if it's not if it's too much trash mixed with the recycling, it all goes to the trash, which makes me really disheartened and makes me not care so much about recycling, which I recycle everything, like everything I can. But the idea of that makes me not want to care as much because I can be as diligent as possible, and if the neighbor next to me isn't, then when they mix our shit together, you can't tell what's what, and it all just goes to the landfill anyway. So I've done all the perfect separating for fucking nothing,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
kind of pisses me off.
We need a little more emphasis maybe on just like being self-aware and the ability to change ourselves. Like, you went out and you got the product or you had it mailed to you. Now it is your responsibility to take that packaging, the plastic casing that the thing came in, and to sort it. And I think other countries do a much better job. Like, maybe there's other countries we could look to for some examples of, how shit, how good shit could be. And or maybe no country, maybe there's no country that's like really doing a truly good job. But I was just thinking, like, maybe like you have like a paper shredder or something. It's a common item typically in a lot of households. um Maybe a little device that could grind up, certain sort of things, and then you could package them and then ship the crushed up material to someone that could process it, and they could rate you like, hey, this guy, always, sends us good stuff, so, this guy has a good rating, so we're always going to trust him. This other one has like a 1 star, he's low rated. We're going to go to, I'm sure there's something you could do with mixed plastics, like maybe make decks out of them, because so it'll have to go to a special facility. Like, hey, this stuff wasn't properly separated. It may or may not be. So we don't really trust this as much. But these other products we do trust as much because they always send us good stuff and blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Sure. I mean,
We
it
can't keep doing what we're doing, though. Like,
exactly. It
I
sounds
mean, we
like a
got to
lot
make
of
a
work.
change.
It sounds like a lot of work, but compared to the alternative of just continuously like having single-use plastics and like just using up resources and then filling up landfills is such a non-long-term way of doing shit. So
I know we just like
I know you're
throw it
right.
away and that's it.
Yep.
you know?
There's got to be more emphasis on using either shit that breaks down, like more natural based
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely
packaging,
that too. Yeah.
you know. But if we do have a lot of single use plastics, I know the restaurant I work at, we switched to paper straws instead of plastic straws. But we're also a seafood restaurant, and we also like we're on we're part of the I don't know they have a program about like sustainable fishing, like they only buy from certain companies that only fish an X amount. They don't like they purposely do not fish as much as they can to continue like letting the populations thrive so that you're not you know that you're
Overfishing and making
yeah.
shit go extinct or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm pretty sure that my kids will never know what a red snapper tastes like because they've been overfished so heavily
Uh,
that like you can have a fishing license and you can have a freaking charter license and still not be able to take a red snapper, and you have to have a freaking license to bring in red snapper. I've caught a huge one, And I was like,
I
well,
have no idea what a red snapper is, but
it's just a really good tasting fish,
oh, okay.
and it's extreme, like so good tasting that they just fish them like ridiculously to the point now where in order to let their populations rebound, they only give out X number of like licenses. You can only keep X number of pounds worth of snapper, and mostly like fishing companies or whatever buy a lot of that out. But it's really, trust me, I went out on a charter and caught like a giant freaking, like a big motherfucker, and I was like, I was ecstatic about it, but I just had to take a picture and throw it back because
Uh,
like they didn't. There's no license. I mean,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful animal, but if you've tasted one of these things, you would be like, oh man, that was dinner for days and days right there. It was. But yeah, I enjoy fishing. I also enjoy sport fishing. Like I'm not trying to keep everything I catch. In fact, I throw back almost everything. The last 10 times I've gone out fishing, I've kept a total of like 2 fish, and that's because one was like a big ass grouper, and those are also fantastic to eat, and the another one was a shark that my buddy said, hey, if you catch it was a small shark, just don't, it was like a 3 footer, 3.5 footer,
Oh,
but my buddy specifically asked if I catch a like a black tip shark, which is what I was fishing for, that I bring it back to him so he could like clean it and grill it up. So I did.
how is shark? Like,
You have
does
to
it taste like
prepare it.
chicken or something, or
No,
tuna? Or
it's rubbery and tough. You have to prepare it. You have to like tenderize it. You have to marinate it. You have to do it just right. Otherwise, it tastes fucking terrible. Yeah, shark.
but if it's
Like
done right, it's
when
pretty
it's
good.
if you tenderize it, marinate it, let it set in the marinade for a while, and then like grill it just right. Yeah, it's totally it's it's better than edible. It's it can be good. It can be good. It's
Wow, like just the kind of fish that you eat. Like I've done tuna, salmon, flounder, and tilapia, and I think that's it. Maybe another one.
yeah.
Like you're like shark and
Oh
that
well,
other one. Like,
I work at a
damn.
seafood restaurant. We've got mahi, Chilean sea bass, rainbow trout, steelhead trout, like 4 different kinds of salmon, just a ton of different like a whole ton of shell. We got mussels. Um, we used to have clams. We don't carry those anymore. We used to have oysters. They're out of season, so we're not doing those. Um, Shit like that. We have our menu is way too freaking big, to be honest. I can vouch for it because I'm the guy that has to make it, like get everything ready for
It
this
sounds
crap.
really good. Like
Oh, it
you're
is.
giving like you're making me really hungry right now.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
talking
I'm
about
sorry.
this. Oh, you're all good. You're all good. And just I'm gonna like I made that turkey last night. I shared some with like 4 of my neighbors, but I still have like it was a 15-pound turkey, so it's like not even halfway done yet.
Dude,
And I
that's awesome. Yeah, dude, see, you got plenty to eat, man. You're good. This
yeah,
I've got a freaking a wrap here that I
nice.
freaking, well, it was given to me. Somebody at my job. It's not from my job, but somebody at my job had it, and they only ate half of it. They're like, hey, you want the other half? I'm like, yeah.
Man, too bad you can't fucking ship that over here right now because I'm really, really hungry. It's
I
like
would,
I
man.
feel like asking for a break to do it, but I just gonna go, push through.
I'll tell you what. We'll take a little break in about 10 or 15 minutes because I'm also gonna need to pee or whatever, and you can do it during that. Like we'll just like a 6 or 7 minute break.
Yeah, because I just kind of like woke up and then I ran and got coffee and now I'm talking to you and it's like maybe I should have ate something like
Yeah, you're good, man. You're good. We'll take a breather here in a little bit, easily enough to edit it out. All right. But in the meantime, you want to?
cops.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Cops? Oh yeah. Well, like I mean, I wasn't a fan of cops before any of this, but just because I see what they do to everyday citizens, and I'm like, man, how corrupt and what pieces of shit that they are. And I know you disagree because you have a friend or you know someone, but I don't think there's any good cops. Maybe there are. But um, one thing I was thinking of is definitely pushing for federal legislation, whether I could do it by executive order or not. And that's the thing is there's all these things that I don't know what I can do. Like after seeing what Trump did, my fucking filming a porn idea to raise money to help people succeed seems pretty, damn tame compared to what the fuck like Trump was doing. I'll be doing it to help other people, not to help myself out. Um, and similarly, I just want to, any idea that the corrupt will hate is an idea that I would be interested in, very interested in. And definitely federally push legislation, pressure, kind of like how Trump directed those people to attack the Capitol. But instead, I would, direct people to put pressure on, politicians to pass this stuff. And I think I didn't finish the thought, but like with TYT was like I disagree with protesting in front of someone's house. No, that definitely, like you should be on the streets. You should be, down Nancy Pelosi's like at every gate in her gated community or whatever. You should be there. You should be making her neighbors bitch at her, and you should be making them uncomfortable if they're not doing what you sent them in there to do,
Mm-hmm.
what they said that they were going to do. You should be making them uncomfortable. And that's one thing that I don't like with AOC is because like she's saying the same shit that I'm kind of saying right now, but then she gets in power and she gets a fucking sweet paycheck and then suddenly, she's all, kissing ass with Nancy Pelosi and not fighting and not wanting to make people uncomfortable. Like she has, and Jimmy Dore does make this point a lot, but she has a lot of Twitter followers. She could direct those people, be like, "Hey, next week we're gonna protest and we're gonna get on this shit, and we're not gonna stop until we get what we want." But there's none of that. Occasionally she does like a little photo op or something with pizza or some other food. Um, but anyway, um, so I also feel that this idea should be extended, like not only forcing cops to wear cameras on their chest, but maybe on the back of their hands too, with like a tiny little. You make cameras that small that they're inside the phones because they be planting shit on people, and we want to mitigate that. Um, on top of wirelessly offloading the footage in real time to a secure server that it just so happens that the NSA has already built for us. They have this massive data storage facility with a lot of information that they don't fucking need. And we could be offloading these cameras to that server. And on top of all jails, all prisons, any sort of detention center, and I'm probably forgetting some other stuff, but throw that in there too. They should all be offloading to the in real time to this secure server as well. Which to make the server really secure, it should only allow incoming connections. And if you wanted to get footage from the server, you're going to have to make a written request. You're going to have to fax something in, and you're going to have to wait for a physical copy to be mailed to you, or like the department in question if someone's like investigating something. And so that's my kind of like rough idea with kind of dealing with corruption. I don't know if it was the Fuck My Life podcast or the Geek Room, but I said that there needs to be some civilian oversight too, and they kind of disagreed with that. And in the way that they kind of presented the argument, I would disagree with them too. Having local people look over their local law enforcement kind of is a situation that could be easily corrupted. But if you make it kind of a chaotic system and you randomly assign people to like, hey, you're out here in Colorado, you're going to investigate that department in Texas, and Texas is going to investigate, over here, and now you could kind of separate, the corruption or the possible. You could kind of mitigate the possible corruption that could arise from the locals looking after the locals. And I know there's pros and cons to that, but I think if we make these people like they'll be traveling a lot, and they're not only like it's like for the next 3 months you're going to do investigations here, then you're going to move on to this other place, and then you're going to move on to, like it's always going to be random. You're always going to be moving around. It will never be like if you have a relative or someone working like with as a public servant, like a cop or a judge or a DA or something, you shouldn't be you should be barred from oversight.
Right.
It should be someone that's not related to you to just mitigate the corruption, is all I'm thinking. That's kind of where my mind is at. Um, that's kind of about it. I mean, I call cops pigs. I use the FAG word too to them. I'm kind of South Park style about that, and I flick them off. But that doesn't mean that I want to I get treated like I want to murder them. Like that's how people react, and I'm sure like you get the same thing with the atheism. It's like you mentioned that you're an atheist, and this is probably like a decade ago when it was more in the discussion online. But people react like you just said you want to eat a baby.
Yeah.
When you tell them that you don't believe in God, and they're like, "Oh my God, did you just say that? Did you just say what I think you just said?" Like, it's like, yeah, what's the big deal, and then you kind of have an attitude towards cops, and people are like, they act like I'm like some terrorist or something. It's like, no, like I mean, I want them to be good, and maybe there's some good ones out there. So if I'm talking shit about you and you are a truly good one, then the shit that I say about cops doesn't apply to you. But I just don't think there are any good ones, is the thing. I think they get weeded out.
I look, I'm almost like I almost feel like there are no good people in general. Like people are shit. Everyone's got their like quirks, and if cops are people, there's cops are gonna have quirks. Are there cops that do their job trying to do it the right way and like for the right reasons? I think so. Are there cops that are just like want to be bullies with the power of the law on their side and like absolutely. Do I think that a lot of cops act like the police are just a huge gang instead of meant absolutely, absolutely. And do I think that they have each other's backs no matter what, even if it's the wrong thing to do? In a lot of cases, absolutely. But I think there are a lot of not who knows how much. Call it half or a third or whatever you might believe, but that actually care and really started doing the job and try their best to do the job every day to do like what's right.
I haven't came across that though. Like
Yeah,
just my life experience. Like even when I was like 12 years old, I was like rollerblading, and my rollerblade got stuck in the separation on the sidewalk, so it made me stop instantly. And I had fell and hit the ground right in front of this cop that was just sitting in this parking lot and everything, And I was like, just like so out of like, I done fucked myself up. I knocked the wind out of myself. And the guy didn't even get out of his car, like, and say, like, "Are you all right?" He just drove off, and I didn't think anything of it then. But after like 3 decades or so, like, now that I look back on it, it's like, yeah, he was probably a piece of shit. He saw some kid just fuck himself up right in front of him, and he just drove off like the piece of shit that he was. At least he gets a pension.
I mean, look, I've had some bad experiences with the cops too. Probably more than most. Not probably more than you, but more than most people. And I still like it's I don't know. It's hard for me to just go ahead and pass on my personal bad experience onto like every single cop. Like, and of course, like. Again, that
I know
like,
it's not fair, Cock. I'll admit to that.
Sure.
It is not fair, but in a way, it's not fair, but it is because they always look at me like I'm the problem. I'm up to something nefarious, and so I'm going to do that to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely the gang aspect of it, or like that way that they view it, where they all have each other, brothers in blue, and they've got their, like all got each other's backs or whatever.
Line,
yeah,
line.
all that crap. Like that is definitely doesn't do their image any favors, because then when you get fucked over, like all the quote unquote good cops, if they don't step up, how good a cops really are they? Like, I totally get that. I totally get it. I guess maybe that there's a part of me that wants to believe that there at least a good percentage out there that really just want to try and do the right thing, and they're not just being pushy assholes that use their badges as an excuse to just like feel like they have some power over people. Although
Well,
in the
see, the
in the
thing
day and
is, they
age with the cameras, a lot of the assholes are really getting exposed now, and enough of these lawsuits happen, and they'll eventually tie like their pensions or something to the lawsuit budget, and
they
then
need to do something like that,
yeah,
like straight up.
absolutely, yeah, and then all of a sudden cops will start turning each other in because they don't want to risk their fucking pension.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, do you want to do a short little break?
Sure, yeah.
And
What
when
what
we get back, I will try to like I want to go be with the people, kind of like an idea that I have if I somehow am successful in my goal. So we'll get into that and my pay and everything and what I want to do with it as well.
sure.
And then any other random tangents that we end up,
Not a
and then
problem.
yeah, I don't think we'll do the part two. I don't think we'll get to the rest of the story. I could quite honestly do that alone.
Sure.
Um, uh, but uh, but I think this was more productive than the first one, most
Sure.
definitely.
Oh, this is definitely, well, it's more of a two-sided, a kind of a back and forth, and your ideas are definitely fucking interesting. So, like you're steering it, and I think it's going in a great direction. But anyway, yeah, we'll take a break. You grab something to eat. I'm gonna have a cigarette and take a piss, and
All
then
right,
we'll meet back in about 7 or 8 minutes, and we'll keep on going.
I am just going to cover my camera, all
No,
right,
that's fine.
and mute my mic.
I'm also gonna mute on this end. Unmuted, back from break. Ready to continue.
Yes. So terribly sorry. I probably won't get to the story. Did you get the files that I sent you by any
I
chance?
did. I wasn't able to grab them and set them up. I might be
No,
able
no, no,
to.
no, no. It's okay. I was just like I sent that stuff to you, and we're pretty much not going to get into it. Like
Well, like you said,
essentially.
you can cover you can make that video on your own to kind of finish the story, do like a recap, and definitely show off the pictures and stuff. Shouldn't be too hard.
One thing I do want to mention though, because it's been kind of in the back of my mind on and off. I do kind of sound like Trump when I'm talking about my grandma and her concern of being sexually assaulted, like if she went out for a walk. And I was like, oh, well, your grandma, come on, you're not that good looking no more. Don't mean to sound like Trump like that, like that was probably like I didn't articulate that well. You just like when you get older, it happens to all of us. We lose our looks.
Yeah.
And I look at pictures when I was younger, and I'm like, man, I wish I was that good looking still.
Yeah.
And our looks kind of fade over time. All right, so that's just, and the alternative, what happened to my grandmother is that, like, you made like people made my grandmother so fearful, that she worried about that stuff from HLN News to even like the cops. They're like, oh, well, your grandson is out to get you. We got to really hit him hard with these charges and go after him. And my grandmother was very kind of depressing to live with because, I was trying to help her out with things, and she wasn't really like I was trying to help her out, kind of. I bought her that Nintendo Wii, and I was trying the bowling game, and it was the easiest game that there was. You point, you hit the button on the top, you hit the button at the bottom. That was it, and you like swing it. And I just, after weeks and weeks of training, I just couldn't do it, and I gave up. I like threw my hands up, and that didn't make me feel good. That was really depressing for me, and I was trying to help her, and she was the kind of person. She's like, I want to have a nice funeral. I want to have a nice funeral. My casket is going to be great. I want y'all to feel really sorry for me and mourn for me this day that I'm gone. You made my grandmother into this, from like my mom to the fucking pigs to Nancy Grace and other fucking douchebags. And so if you think that thought that I had, I just wanted to get that out. My grandma doesn't look that good anymore. If you think that's horrible, well, the shit that other people did was even worse, because they made her into this kind of sad, pathetic, like existence the last few decades of her life, where she was fearful to do like anything. She looked forward to her funeral. What the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah, that's sad.
Little kitty tail.
Oh yeah. Keanu is in full effect. Anytime he hears me talking, he thinks I'm talking to him.
Yeah, same here. Like I would do that, like when I'll be gaming, and my cat is like laying near me, and then I start talking to like someone on TeamSpeak or some shit, and my cat's like, what's up? What do you need me? You need me?
Yeah, you get one of these where he just like hangs out in your lap.
Yeah. The lap time I think I got from you, but I usually use the phrase kitty cuddle
There
time
you go.
personally, but you use the lap
Yeah,
time.
yeah. He's a total lap cat. You can see how fucking happy he is right now just to be
I know. Yeah,
sitting here.
he's just chilling on your arm right there. He's
Just
like, I'm going to use this as a little headrest. Let
mm-hmm.
me just chill.
Yeah, I'm definitely daddy to this little cat. I rescued him when he
So,
was tiny. Anyway, next, what's we were gonna continue about the cops, or we're gonna hit the next
well, yeah.
topic?
I mean, that just there's really nothing much more to really say about the cops, except just any idea that, and this doesn't even apply to cops. This just applies across the spectrum, like with laws or a new Bill of Rights or anything. Like any idea that the corrupt will hate is typically a good idea. Now, okay, blowing up the world or something like that, that's an idea that everybody will hate, even the corrupt. So that's why I say almost every idea, because there's are those few exceptions. But I just, speaking of which, obviously, what my finger will be on the nuclear button. It's like a stalemate game, and I think most countries understand this. So I don't think that will be a major concern. I do want to work on definitely having less nukes. Like we could blow up the world probably a few dozen times. Maybe just once or twice would be enough. That's enough, and the rest, we could just kind of retire. We don't need to spend money on maintenance and all that shit. Just get rid of it. Like, let's relax a little bit.
I don't think people understand how much the upkeep costs for like nuclear facilities and sites, or like silos and missiles and like that stuff is incredibly expensive to maintain and upkeep.
Yeah, we could use that money for like homeless like people, like housing and everything. Like what the hell? Like just the way that we spend our money in this country is so messed up. And I will say that I mean there's probably politicians out there that will try to mitigate what I could do before I even get in power. But there's a provision in the ACA, and Trump had his bullshit emergency with his like fucking immigrants coming across the border and everything. So I could see the lack of so many Americans having health care as a legit emergency and declare one and give them Medicare for all temporarily, at least while I'm in power. But good luck to the next asshole that like wants to take that away from you. So there's a provision in the ACA that allows me to do that. And these are the things like I just learned that I think recently a few months back. So and these are things that I would be interested in knowing about, and I want to get on the internet and start talking to people about these ideas and suggestions and tactics. And I put a few on the table already, with from the police to pardoning people and raising money myself. And one thing I want to do is if I'm president, or I could be cocky and say when I'm president, is be with the people, like just like as much as I can. I haven't really traveled this country, that much. I've been to a few states here and there, Texas, Tennessee, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Colorado. That's about it. I drove through a few states to get here. I only got a C in geography. Go fuck yourselves. All right. Trump couldn't even name the states that I just mentioned. All right. So I know I went through Nebraska, and was it Missouri? I don't know. Anyway, so going undercover, I think is something that I would like to do very often, like on my downtime, which I'll be president. There's a lot of downtime, all right? As we see, like with Trump, like come on, like that dude wasn't running shit, and as we see with Biden, that dude ain't like doing shit either, But he can be doing stuff is the thing, but he's just not. Going undercover with the people. Let's say like in Florida, they're harassing some homeless people, and they're doing it all over the country. There's harassing the homeless people in LA, and make myself look homeless, or you could dress me up, make me look like the crazy homeless woman or something like that, and I'll just hang out with the people. I'll document the stuff, release the footage later on that day when I'm out of the area for security reasons, but it also will keep the security detail kind of low too. Being kind of chaotic and random, I could be anywhere in America at any time. It would there's security in the chaos, I guess you could say. And so yeah, that's what I would like to do. I'd just like to just chill with normal Americans, hear their grievances. If there's fucking pigs like harassing some homeless people, maybe I'll take it upon myself to get my Secret Service buddies or U.S. Marshals or whatever. They could go undercover too and just be a small detail. And we'll hang out with some homeless people and see what the fuck happens when a fucking pig pulls a gun on the president of the United States. Huh? 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 See what? Yeah. I'm making paranoid too. Like that's the like we should have tests. I got nailed this one time when I was working this gas station job, and I sold a pack of cigarettes to like a 17-year-old. But they just got done selling all these BP gas stations to some private people. They changed the POS, and the POS used to like remind you about the birthday. They're like, if they're not born before this day on at this year, then they're not 18. And they got rid of that, and I just had a brain fart in the middle of a rush. And I actually remember the chick's name, and it was in this Yorkville, Illinois BP, this AMPM. And Brittany came in, and like it was her birthday too. So I'm like, oh, it's your birthday, like what's up? And so I just mindlessly sold her a pack of cigarettes, and then the fucking pigs come in, 5 minutes later. I just like quit the job. I'm like, whatever, you guys are fucking piece of shit. But why is that okay? Why is that okay? But we can never put cops in a situation, like maybe we should have undercover things testing out cops. Like maybe have an undercover person be homeless in a park, and see how they get treated by the police. And there will be undercover cameras in the vehicle, or hidden cameras in the vehicle, and like if they mistreat that person, which would be probably a federal employee, like could you imagine, and what the results I want is just stop treating citizens like shit, stop murdering them, and because if you have one of these undercover things, like situations arise, and then your cop ass comes and shoots them in the back. Well, they were just testing you, and you done failed that test, and you should probably be tried for murder. And we need to find people brave enough to take these jobs too, that because they will be testing cops out. Now, I'm not saying like go like like rob a place, and that person doing the robbery is going to be the undercover, but it could just be like an anonymous phone call, like, hey, there's this weird guy in this vehicle, I want you to check them out, or something obscure like that, and there's no like active crime being committed or something like that, or I suspect they stole a bike, he's on a bike right now, or something, like some situation to give to the police, and if things go well, if they actually are good cops, they should check them out and be like, oh, okay, well there's nothing here, someone just called it in, and well, you have a nice day, sir. But if they show up and they beat the dude and shoot them in the back, well, guess what? Just like the cigarette thing with me, right? I done failed the test. Well, you done failed the test too, bitch. But and so why don't we have that shit punching up? Why don't we should do more punching up? And so that's kind of another where my mindset is. I like cooking, but I don't know if like I know I'll be president and I know I'll have my own cook, but I really like cooking. But I also might be too busy because I'll be hanging out with like so many Americans, right?
Mm.
So maybe just pack me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and like some healthy stuff like some baby carrots or peanuts or some other nuts or whatever. And yeah, just make me a little lunch bag and I'll just be on my way. Like I don't care about fancy dinners. I don't care about parties. I kind of don't care about money, although I need a little bit, I know, to survive. And that's one thing I'm really upset with Trump about is he said he donated his paychecks, but he never disclosed where he donated them. He never proved it. I would definitely be proving it. And I have a few homeless friends, so forgive me if I like help them out first.
Sure.
Like that my friend Misty, if I have the ability to buy her a house somewhere, and at least set enough money aside to take care of her utilities for a year or two, I'll do that. you know, and I need to have a little bit of money, but I'm used to surviving on less than 10,000 a year. So maybe double or triple it. Give me 20 or 30,000. Make sure I have enough weed, as president. I'm sure I'll have the government food card and gas card. But I don't even want to be taking Air Force One is the thing, because that makes a big announcement. Like when I want to go undercover, like take me in a jet or a fighter jet or something. Give me a small security detail. Don't even announce it to the city because I don't want a big a financial all this security and shit. Just I think I talked about it earlier. Just the being chaotic kind of could be a good thing, and being random about it instead of making a big announcement. Hey, I'm going to go to Ohio this weekend. Just do it with no announcement, and then when I'm leaving Ohio, I could have someone on my team or something just tweet the video footage of me in Ohio, and be like, yeah, we were just there. That weird guy that you talked to, dude standing on the street corner, that was the president. Like, and I want people like, kind of like undercover boss, but, like the president doing it.
Undercover president.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like the drunken peasants, like, I don't know why they fucking, Ben is always like, it's law. You can't drive as president. You can't drive yourself. Bullshit. I'm gonna like. Did some Secret Service dude tell me that I cannot fucking drive? Well, you're fired. All right, hire the next guy. Could I drive? No, you're fired. All right, could I, until and I will fight them. Like I will try to ditch the Secret Service myself. So you could either fucking work with me and let me drive, or you could fight with me. And I will have that fight. But I think driving myself would be, not that harmful. And you could have undercover like vehicles behind me. So like if I get in an accident, because that would be their one legitimate maybe concern. I get in an accident, right? And it probably won't be a bad accident. It'll be like someone rear-ending me like it typically is. Someone rear-ends me, one of the other undercover cops fucking or undercover cars rolls up. I hop in it. I drive off. Someone from the government will have to hang out with the person that got in the accident and make sure that they don't disclose, pretty much what happened. Or maybe it will fuck up the whole, undercover thing because that would be too suspicious. But maybe I don't know. Like, look, you're going to hang out with him for a few hours. You just done hit the president's vehicle, and this guy's going to hang out with you. Just make sure that you don't talk about it for the next few hours for security purposes. But then, once I'm out of the area, then this guy's going to go, leave you alone, and then you can talk about it all you want.
I mean,
You know,
yeah, it's it's definitely a fresh take on freaking on you know it's just not how things have been for a long time. It would be
I
it
know.
would take some getting used to from the people, I'm sure.
I know, but I would like to do it. Like I would like to do the undercover thing, and I'll like have a hidden camera on me, and we could upload the interaction, with whoever I was talking with later. I'd like to address issues of the people, and what better way to do that than by hanging out with the people. Now, there's only so much time in the day, and there's there's only so much I could do. So I can't. I probably can't even visit every single city in America and have like enough time to do it. Like it might be impossible, like, and it's definitely impossible to interact with every single one. Like there's 330 million people. It would take me over 50 years to like 24/7, 365, no sleep or anything. It'd take me over 50 years just to like spend 5 seconds on like everyone.
Yeah.
So people got to understand that I only have so much time, and I can't be everywhere, but I want to hear as much as I can. I want to hang out with people as much as I can. During this time right now of healing that I'm going through, I want to chit chat with people online. Like I said, talk tactics, talk ideas, use suggestions. What else could I do alone? Like I'll do it. Fuck it. I want to donate my paychecks away, but I want to keep a little bit. And like I said, I want to help my friend out, like Misty, and I have other friends too. So maybe I'll get a bigger house and they could all just hang out there, or live there. But so my first paycheck, my very first one, I might be buying a house for someone else, but I'll definitely have the address at 1600 for a little while, so I wouldn't even need a house myself. You know,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's it's a
I figure
perk.
I'll earn it. I'll earn it. I know it's 400,000 a year, and I'll get that the rest of my life, and that's a pretty sweet
I
deal
I
and
almost
everything.
did they not raise? Or is that what it's at now? 400? I
I think
thought
it's 400,000
I thought
a year.
they had raised it again. I know it used to be 250, right?
Um,
Or 200. It was either
the,
200 or 250 a
this
while back.
number could be coming from 2012, though. A lot of these ideas that I mentioned
I almost want to say
to
they
you
raised it
are
up
old.
to a million.
Oh wow.
I
Well,
I,
I,
I
I
I can't remember. I might be wrong. I don't pay
I want to
attention
be
to that kind of
rich
shit.
so I could be poor. All
Well,
right. I want to give my money away. I don't really have a use for it. I don't really have much in my life. I'd like to have a little extra,
sure.
I'll probably be sharing all this weed with like citizens too. Like so I might need more than 20 or $30,000 like just with all the like bags of weed that I'm going
Maybe
to be giving out
maybe
and
that's
shit.
how you can donate your paycheck. Like
Yeah.
just like joints. Maybe you make enough money that you might not be able to shake every American's hand, but you might be able to send each one that wants one a joint.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I was actually thinking like I could do a press conference as I, decriminalize marijuana, and I could just get a big ass blunt and I just like smoke it and make it look like I'm going to say something, but I never do, except like I occasionally cough, and then, but the only time I say something is when I'm done with the fucking blunt, and I'm like, "Good day, citizens," and I just leave.
It is legal now.
Yeah,
It,
well, it will be legal federally. Like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, the dude that wrote the fucking crime bill is going to decriminalize like weed and Kamala. Like, I've had shitty DAs ignore exculpatory evidence in multiple cases of mine, and so I see her as a bitch, like these other DAs that happen to be women also were bitches to me. Like. And I haven't gotten into the horror of Colorado, but I wanted to get into these ideas. I mean, we're going to wrap this up a little bit here. I know you're a little tired,
no, yeah, I'm
and
sorry, man. I've had a long day. I'm with you here. I'm with you. I'm listening intently.
no,
But
no, no, you're all
yeah,
right. You're all right.
we have like yeah, about 30 minutes left.
You know, I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Oh,
Shit, like
I'm
I think I got my rough ideas out there without my notepad or my notes. I probably should have looked for that during break. I
yeah,
don't know.
it's okay. You're definitely have some unique platforms. I mean, like I I think it would be fantastic. Um, even if just for entertainment value, you understand. But like at the same time, you know, as bad as everything has gotten. By the way, one of the reasons I don't look up politicians' pay is because I'm already angry enough. Like I
Well,
don't need to know how much they're fucking paid.
don't get me wrong. Like there should be some law in there that, uh, and maybe like I need to talk with people about these things, coming up with a good solution. But people should be able to vote to take a certain percentage away from the politicians' pay. Like people should have that ability, because if you're doing a shitty job, you should get a pay cut.
Oh, instead the lawmakers get to pass the laws that give them raises, and they do it consistently, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
that's
sad.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, one way about like going undercover too, like because I won't get like 400,000 right up front. It will be like two checks a month or something like that, right? Is giving money to people that I interact with under going undercover. So and that's why like documenting it is important too, because it's like, look, I just gave this person $1,000. That was 1,000 out of my thing, and just hooking people up, like somebody that needs help or something. Like I'm talking to someone and I feel bad for them or something, and I hook them up with some money, and that's like when I say I want to give my checks away or give my pay away, that's how I want to do it. It's not necessarily a charity or something like that. Like, oh, I'm going to give to this charity. It's going to be $200,000. No, no, no. I just keep some money on me, and damn, you need a place to spend for the night. Here, hop up for the rest of the month and get your place,
Mhm.
get your ass in a motel for get off the street for a little while or something. I know I can't help everybody,
Yeah. It's
but maybe that should be a little addendum to the porn film and idea that I have is like if we're able to help out these prisoners, succeed, and then like the program has an extra surplus of money or some shit, then I could be like, hey, I will give this money to other people and help them succeed.
mm, yeah. I mean, it's definitely like your heart is in the right place. It's a good idea. It may very well inspire other people to be a little bit more generous or giving. Um, I I don't think it's something that would cost you my vote, so I'm on board.
Yeah, well, that's another thing too, is that I just had the thought, like, a lot of people would want to probably end me, as paranoid as that sounds. I don't think all the bullshit that I've experienced just weeks into coming up with the idea of running for president was all a coincidence. If you want to go after the corrupt might come for you. But I think some of these ideas of like something happened to me, someone else could take these ideas and run with them themselves. These just do what the people want, be anti-corruption. Pretty much with some exceptions. Any idea that would upset the corrupt is a good idea. Um, and you could take my idea of pardoning people and filming porns. I don't care. You could take the idea of wanting to drive and be with the people and going undercover. I don't care. These are just winning ideas, and like I said, if something happened to me, then someone else should fucking pick up the baton and run with some of these ideas and want to at least aspire to be a champion for the people. I am nowhere near there yet, but maybe there's was a lot of people that lifted up that loser Donald Trump, and a lot of people lifting up that loser Biden. So maybe there's some enough people out there to lift me up, and I could get some shit done for you people. I know I understand the three branches of government, and I understand the House and the Senate needs to pass shit, and I either veto it or sign it, and maybe I could line item certain things on certain bills or whatever, line item veto. But just what I could do alone, I will take, or at least take marijuana off the Schedule One, which will resolve a lot of problems in America. I could pardon a ton of people that are deserving of it, um, and try to help them out, and just be that example, like lead by example, and give my money away. I'll need to keep a little bit, like I said, for marijuana, but I can't really think of anything else that I'll like. I'm sure that they'll like I could get food, I could get clothes, I could get travel, so I have a place to stay.
I swear to
So
God,
like
if I don't in my lifetime get to hear a person running for president say, "Look, I'm not going to keep all the money, just enough for maybe a place to stay and some pot," I
yeah.
fucking love
Yeah.
it.
I want
I
to have the money on hand so I could have it so I could disperse it, because that's what I naturally do anyway, but I have so little of it that I don't often get to do nice things, and when I
shit.
do something nice, it like hurts me a little bit. Like I took my friend out to eat. I spent $35, which is a ton of money to me, and now I'm going to be cigaretteless pretty soon.
Might be time to try and quit, bro. I'm trying to cut
Man,
back
I quit
myself.
twice this year and I just totally failed. I just
It's dude, you fail every time until the time you don't, right?
yeah.
Like it's quit. Trust me, I'm in the same exact boat with cigarettes.
It's it,
I can cut it back to a certain amount, and that is it. I can't get any lower.
I like smoking is the thing, but I like for health reasons I gotta stop.
You
but
should. We
I
should get. We got to
love
look into
smoking.
like the freaking vape pens, where you can gradually cut your nicotine back until you're like there's almost no nicotine and it's doing a little less damage anyway.
Yeah, hopefully I could get some support, but it doesn't like that's why I had deleted my Go Fuck Me, because yeah, it's like I'm not enough of a victim, apparently, like apparently I needed to, just be like 5% victim instead of 1% victim. I don't know. I don't like some people get support, other people don't. You
It's
know,
it, it. I can understand. It's like definitely disheartening if it doesn't get anything going. But don't give up, man. Don't give up. It's.
maybe I'll boot it back up. I
I'm
don't
telling
know.
you.
I
Yeah. I
think
mean, you can do that. People can check it out. It is, you know,
it.
maybe somebody sees this and they're like, wait a second. They go check that shit out and they're like, it's still at zero, and they freaking they just throw 100 bones straight your way. Who knows? You
Yeah,
never.
right.
I mean, crazier shit has happened. I had
I've
a
never raised a cent, dude. Like I told you, like I had that Trey It Forward idea, and I was not trying to cash in on Trayvon Martin or anything. I just didn't want him to be thought of as George Zimmerman's victim. I
yeah.
wanted, so I thought, that there was the pay it forward idea from that one cheesy movie I saw like 2 decades ago, and I was, I was like, okay, that's a good idea, and it doesn't need to be original. It's a good idea, and I was just like, pay it forward, and I didn't have any ink for my printer, and I had a lamination machine, but I didn't have the roll for it, so I needed some tiny amount. I needed some like 60, 80, maybe $100 at the most. I was asking for, and I was going to I was going to print it on a thicker, like kind of like a cardboard paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then laminate it. And then it was like, look, I did this nice deed, and and I did it, in Trayvon's name, I guess, and then you could pay it forward here, and then you give
Mm-hmm.
someone the card, and then they take it, and then they do something nice. And I was just thinking, and this was back in 2012, 2013, like I don't know. I've had so many GoFundmes. I was trying to get like $20 so I could send the Orland Police Department in Illinois some Pepto Bismol, and just because it's not a gut feeling, it's just gas because they always have like a gut feeling about me, like I'm a piece of shit. Like
Oh,
when I get into this story, if we ever talk about it, or if you ever check it out, if I do it solo,
sure.
there was this one. Okay, so I had an idea of putting a undercover, like a hidden camera on my shoe, because if I had the camera on my chest or somewhere like my face or hat, someone could see that and go for it. Like if they're trying to do me wrong, they could try to grab that,
Mm-hmm.
to cover up their crime. No one's really looking at your feet though. No one's really, really paying attention that much to your feet. So that's and I was like, look, I was telling this idea to a cop about how I'm going to protect myself from other cops. And then this cop suggests immediately, he's like, so you got to watch out for upskirting. What? Is this like 1950 or some shit like that? Like upskirting? Like what are you talking about? You know how close I need to get to somebody? Like I need to put my foot like in between their legs, just about. Like I need to put my feet in between their feet. Like I need to be within hugging range to do that shit. What are you talking about, officer? And there's that shitty assumption. Always a shitty assumption. I'm like, man, I'm gonna totally fool you guys, and I'm gonna put this shit in my fucking shoe to protect myself against people like you. And he's like, upskirting, and it's like, go fuck yourself. Like,
Jesus.
so fair is fair. When I have my bad thoughts about cops, like it is just what I'm doing to them, because that's how I feel they want to be treated, because they've been treating me like that. So I know it's unfair, but in a way, it's fair. I don't know. I'm weird.
Hey, man, we're all weird. Don't you dare. You wear it with pride. All right.
Oh hell yeah, yeah.
You
I mean, it's nothing bad.
let your freak flag fly. I do all the time. There's nothing fucking wrong with it. Damn it. And
I
as
like the freaks.
yeah, as freaking religion kind of falters and lessen. They're more and more like nuns, if you know what I mean. I mean like the people who have no religious affiliation. Um, they uh, the presidential like elections or whatever should get a lot more interesting because that you won't just be able to say the Bible's my favorite book or go fucking hold it up and just have that be like enough anymore. They're gonna have to try new things, and when you try new things, different kind of people are gonna get different kind of opportunities in politics. And I, if I don't live to see the day where people like you are freaking constantly on TV and I get to hear about like your freaking porno fundraisers, I will be goddamn upset. I want to live to see that. I
I
want
would
to.
like to live to see it too, but like I said, like I mean, people like I got so much hell that, and I haven't even mentioned this on. I mentioned it when we weren't recording, or we lost the little bit at the end there of that recording that we did the first time. But like I've been through so much shit that I got a heart attack. Like I have stents in my chest. Like it wasn't plaque or anything. It was not unhealthy diet. But now I got to worry about that shit because stuff will stick to the stents and then thus cause another issue. You know, so it almost feels. It felt like I was being driven to suicide. It almost felt like they just make my life so miserable that they hope that I would do something. And it's similar, like to what they're doing to Assange and what they did to Chelsea Manning and what they tried doing to Snowden, but he's ironically safe in Russia. like, um, but yeah, like it just like I think things are just way worse than people like realize. Like from our environment to like how our politics work. Like I'm people like me are like I think there's a lot of failures with capitalism, but now because I have these socialist ideals, I'm now labeled a domestic violent extremist.
Mhm.
And so I don't. I mean, look, I'd like to be able to be president and everything. I kind of am a little cynical about it. I think I'll be taken out. I think if you ever see a headline that I committed suicide, look, if I haven't done it by now, I ain't never going to do it. With the exception being of like dying soon from a terminal illness. Okay, but that being the only exception I could think of, I would not kill myself. But they could just brush me under the carpet right now, and kick my door in, shoot me in the head, or strangle me, or make it look like I shot me in the head, or whatever, all sorts of things, and that will be that. So that's why I think it's important to get some of these ideas that I got off my chest. I didn't get all of them. I got a good chunk of them though. I need to find my notes. I totally didn't prepare, but I think this went pretty well. Just everything off the top of my head,
Yeah,
fuck it.
yeah. This is I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I think it's great. And yeah, for real, when your name is on the ballot, you're gonna get my vote. In fact,
I'll like it.
I might just friggin' write it in.
Well,
Fuck the extra step.
speaking of, well, I was actually I had this one idea, like if 1% of people come out, if 1% of eligible voters comes out and votes, doesn't vote for me. I mean, I would prefer the vote, but just vote for the best one, for you and your loved ones. If 1% of people come out and vote, or eligible people come out and vote, I will do X. If 2% of eligible voters come out, and vote, I will do, Y, and so on and so forth. And it could be some humiliating stuff, like conservatives, like you want to see me in a dress or some shit like that. Fucking, like at 5% eligible voters coming out and vote, I will wear a dress, and Fox News will pick it, or whatever. I'll try to encourage people to come out, and I would prefer them to vote for me, but I think voting. I feel odd asking for people's votes. I want to kind of just leave it at like, look, just vote for the best one for you and your loved ones. I think that's me, but if you feel that's someone else, then so be it.
Sure, you can't force them to vote for you. You have to convince them, and um, if they're not convinced, then they're not convinced. You can't just like go
Yeah.
twist their arm. Um, I totally freaking understand. Uh, anyway, this has been highly friggin' entertaining, and I really
Yeah, it's
really
been
do
fun.
appreciate having you on. Maybe who knows? Maybe possibly we do a part three sometime in the future because I'm sure there's a ton more to talk about, and you'll remember a few extra topics that you forgot to run here, or you might end up just doing your own series of topics and your own solo videos. In which case, I'm sure they'll go over great. If you do put up the GoFundMe, make sure you remember to put the link in whenever you get done trimming this up and uploading it. But
Yeah.
I think you should. It can't hurt. It really can't.
And also, you can have me on this podcast called the Goddamn Podcast.
Sure. In fact,
That's
we
it.
will. In the I'm not going to have Drew here in a little bit, so for the especially for the patron shows, I'm gonna need some guests because there's no one else. So I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you keep on talking about Pale Blue Mama. It's like, and I don't really hate her, but I do give her a little bit of shit. I feel a little sour because I gave to her,
Yeah.
and I didn't get 1 cent. I gave to her, and then the thing is though, like I haven't even gotten into all the abuse, the abusive people abusing others, and then me trying to step in and try to do something, whether whether you think it's like the correct action or not, that I took. I tried doing something. It might have been stupid, but each time I do that, the person being abused and the abuser team up against me. So, like, and I'm not saying Pale Blue Mama did that, but has she done that? Like, when was she in a previous relationship, like a decade ago, and someone tried mildly intervening, and she teamed up against that person? Maybe, I don't know, but
I
that
have no
person got
clue.
money and I didn't.
Yeah.
God bless.
I mean, I have no clue. I've never done my own like GoFundMe. I just and I have no clue about Pale Blue Mama's past
Yeah,
or whatever.
I'm
I
sure
just
she hasn't. I'm sure she hasn't. But just the interactions that I've had, they've. It's weird the psychology of someone being abused and how they will go after someone trying to point that out instead of but then later they have an epiphany. Oh, I was abused and the psychological control and it was terrible. Yeah, but what were you doing at that time though? Did did your lover attack somebody and then you got them sent to jail or some shit? Like, it's kind of what happened to me, which I didn't get into. But like, it just makes me think. That's all. Like, I'm just always a little skeptical. I know I don't understand all the details, so this is all just speculation, just to make that clear to everybody. I'm not saying she straight up did this, but it just makes me wonder. Like if you've been in after dealing with all those people, all those fucked up relationships, it makes me think, like, okay, so if you've ever been abused, did you ever fuck someone? Maybe, you know,
mm,
lie for your abuser, lie on the behalf of your abuser, and to fuck someone else. That doesn't, that just makes me wonder. That's all.
sure. Well, anyway, I think it was a this was actually a lot of fun. I think some of your ideas are well, they're all outside the box, totally unique, and I I don't see how it could hurt. At least putting them out there, and
Yeah,
I'm sure if enough people heard these ideas, they would be checking out more of your stuff because it like I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, I'm
I
looking
want to
forward
see
to
the
it
next
too. I
thing.
would like to do good for this country and do good by the people. We need it.
Yeah,
And it's just ridiculous. So, maybe we'll, someone will see this stuff and want to interact with me or want to smear me. I don't know. Who
sure.
knows? Who knows
Well,
what I'll get?
probably sometime in the near future we can have you on as a guest on the podcast. We might it might be for one of the patron shows. It might be for one of the regular shows. I'm not sure yet. Everything is kind of up in the air right now. All I know is that me and Dark Matter are going to continue doing it, and we're going to try and pull some more guests. So
Yeah.
we'll see how scheduling works out. So as long as you're free on a Tuesday night, it should work out just fine.
Yeah,
But
I should be if I'm having a good day. Sometimes I have a rough time trying to get to sleep, and then I'm all like I'm groggy throughout an entire day, and those would be like the bad days. Or when I'm feeling like overly like kind of down and out, like I have those days every now and then too.
sure, sure. I mean, we all do. But yeah, I mean, if you're up to it, we'd love to have you on. But I really enjoyed our chat here, and I encourage everyone to go check out Chris's channel and his, if you're watching this somewhere other than his channel, and his GoFundMe. Throw a few bones his way. The man deserves it. He cares about you, and I quite honestly, I think your ideas are I. I would love to freaking see them even brought up, but even more so, like followed through with. I think it would
Well,
be so fucking. Uh, you'd have everyone's eyes on the president. That's for damn sure.
one thing I do want to kind of finish off with, I don't want to get into it. It's not my own idea, but I fantasized about bringing nations together to build a space elevator, and I would still like to do that. We're kind of like the clown of the world right now, but I'd like to, hey Australia, what's up EU? Even Russia and China. Let's make a space elevator. Let's try to figure out how to get this done. Do some R&D. And I'm interested in that idea too, and I'd like to listen to some people smarter than me have tossed me their suggestions of how to accomplish this.
That that might actually get people's attention because the freaking space race thing is it's happening all over again. So,
Oh yeah, with rich douchebags. Oh my god.
yep.
Uh,
But the next the this is generation 2 of the space race. Generation 3 might be the space elevator. Who knows?
yeah.
And who knows if it's more of a space race or a space collaboration between nations.
It'll be a space collaboration. It's got to be. We got to stop this competition and just start maybe working together. You know.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, thank you very much, like for sharing all this. I
Well,
think
thank you for taking the time too.
oh,
Like you've been awesome.
yo,
And thank you for listening. And this has been a much better interaction. I've been more relaxed and everything, getting
sure.
used to talking into a camera again.
Absolutely, it's always a little bit nerve wracking at first, but you did fantastic. And just on a personal note, like you can always message me or write me, and I'm a busy guy. It might take me a little bit to see it, but when I see it, I will read through, and I will like
I try
reply.
not to send so many words. I know, like when I first start talking to someone, and that's one of my flaws is I could toss them too many words when I first start talking to someone. But now, since you know so much, it kind of well, this guy kind of knows me. I don't really need to say that much now.
Sure, absolutely. This is it's been fun getting to know you, Chris. You're cool. Like you're a buddy as
Cool,
far as I'm
cool
concerned.
cat.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
this was before that fucking douchebag on the internet with his cool cat shit. Like I used to say this shit in like 2006, like
Yeah,
cool cats. But then I learned of that douchebag, like I think on the DP show,
yeah.
and it's like, no,
Can't remember his name, but he's a terrible, terrible
yeah,
person.
I know. We need to take that back. Cool
Anyway,
cat is cool, but not
yeah,
that. Anyway, yeah, I'll
not
shut
that
up.
guy. God, what's
Yeah,
his?
not that guys.
It's gonna drive me nuts now that I can't remember his name. Anyway, it's been a ton of fun, man, and have a fantastic night. I will see you around for sure. I'll be in contact with you about being a guest on the show.
All right. You take care, cock.
All right, you do the same, boss.
Peace.
Peace.